They were here a mere 3 years ago, looking not a day older now, it says here. It's the Shaken Not Stirred fan club, and I'd like you to welcome Matthew Wood and Nick Fenterman.
Thanks very much, Pete. How are we all doing today?
Good.
It's good. Lots of people here, which is always good to see. Fantastic. So, like Pete said, me and Nick are from Shaken Not Stirred. We are a not-for-profit fan club, and we do lots of James Bond events with some Bond alumni, and we just do lots of good things for charity. So we're here today. Somebody have asked us to come here, and we're going to do a little bit of a talk on trivia on A View to a Kill. Then we're going to open it out, have some James Bond discussions on some interesting topics. We've kind of just tried to shake it up a bit, try and get a discussion going.
And see where the future of Bond goes as well.
Exactly, see where that goes. And then what do we have this afternoon, Nick?
We've got a For Your Eyes Only quiz, for your questions only quiz later on at 2:30. So back in here for the quiz with a few prizes up for grabs.
So it's going to be fun. Your microphone, Nick. So basically we spent months and months putting something special together, but we thought we'd just do this instead. Alright, so we're going to start with a bit of trivia. Welcome to the event, we've done that bit. So we're going to go through a few different things you may have heard, some of you may not have heard, and we're going to elaborate a little bit more on that. So we're going to start with Nick. Nick's got something special about the first person who was down to play Max Zorin.
So yes, David Bowie was actually offered the role of Zorin about a year before, and he appeared in quite a lot of publicity. However, he decided not to do it, and just a quote from the NME magazine in 1984, "Yes, I was offered that film. I think for an actor it's probably an interesting thing to do, but I think that for somebody from rock it's more of a clown performance. And I didn't want to spend 5 months watching my double fall off mountains," which would quite possibly happen with one of the main actors. So yes, and also before Christopher Walken was offered the role of Zorin, Sting from the Police was also offered the role. So yes, that's a little bit of an interesting tidbit there.
Yep, so the second one we're going to move on to. So we all know the what happened, blowing up the mines, flooding it, creating a double earthquake, or the original concept by Michael G. Wilson was to actually have Halley's Comet destroy Silicon Valley. So in the very early draft of the script, or a treatment, it was just this idea. I think the comet was passed in the same year, so it was just a crazy idea they had. And obviously it didn't get very far because they just thought it was a bit ridiculous, which I'm kind of glad they did do that, because that would have just been too much. So yeah, that was one of the things. It was just, not believable enough. Even though a double earthquake is a bit over-exaggerated.
And also to get Halley's Comet to appear in the film.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on to the next one, Nick.
So there were 2 stunt parachutists offered to do the stunt off the Eiffel Tower. B.J. Worth and a guy called Don Calvert. B.J. Worth was the first one to jump, everything was set up. He did the jump perfectly, and then the director on site decided that that particular jump was good enough, got the film in a can, so to speak, and they told Don Calvert that he wasn't going to do the jump. So he got a bit frustrated about this and decided to jump anyway, which then put the production into a bit of a spin for the rest of the day.
Did he get paid?
Probably not, because he was fired by B.J. Worth. So yes, and also just to add on here, B.J. Worth, this wasn't his only Bond film. He's actually appeared in 6 Bond films with parachute-style stunts.
Right, move on to the next one. So obviously California Girls at the pre-title sequence where Roger Moore's snowboarding down. That was done by Gideon Park, it wasn't done by the Beach Boys. The reason for that is to save money on the rights to the song, because obviously to pay the Beach Boys for their rights to it is a lot more expensive than just getting a cover band to do it. So basically that's what it was. However, the lead singer was a touring Beach Boy. So that's the reason why they did covers of Beach Boys and things like that. So yeah, that was actually done by Gideon Park, and it wasn't on the original soundtrack either.
Interesting, very good. So the death scene of Zorin. So he's hanging off this metal style bridge model at Pine Studios, and he was hanging on, and he thought this is quite an absurd situation, and he actually laughed. And that was him improvising the laugh. It wasn't actually in the script. He just thought that because of the absurdity of the situation, he just decided he thought he would just put it in, and then he fell a few feet onto some mattresses. He's just one of those things where he was probably got to the end of the film and he just thought, no, this is a little bit silly. So yeah, so that's his little contribution to the film.
Yeah, and I think the situation as well, he just thought it was a bit laughable. You know, this is how he ends, just trying to whip onto the Golden Gate Bridge and then just plummet to his death. So.
Into the San Francisco Bay.
It's a really good way to go out, I must admit. Can't get any better than that, can it? So moving on to the next one. So yeah, View to a Kill was the only James Bond film to have a title from an Ian Fleming work be amended or changed, because I don't know if you remember, at the end of Octopussy, it said From a View to a Kill, because that's the actual short story. And then they later on changed it, they dropped the From before filming began in May 1984 because it sounded better. So there you go. Is that one?
Yep. So Grace Jones, so she was spooked right at the end when she came on to do her final part. There were some electric cables along the ground and she didn't realise they were going to go off. And they all sparked, and I think she was a little bit scared that they were going off and decided to throw a little bit of a wobbly from what we've been told. But she got blown up anyway, so...
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a scary concept anyway, getting blown up, but yeah. But the electrical cables did it for, not the actual explosion, but there you go. Right, moving on to the next one. So yeah, obviously we know Roger was getting on a bit by the time he come round to A View to a Kill. He had a bit of plastic surgery done, but his hair had to be thickened, because I don't know if you know, if you've seen in the film, he gets really, really thin and it's starting to go a little bit, starting to bald a little bit. So yeah, he had to get thickened to make himself look a bit more suave. Yeah.
I also read that he might have had a little bit of help with the hairpiece added into the hair to make sure that it looks pretty full throughout the film.
That's even more interesting. I know that one.
The cat, Stacey's cat, was called Pussy, which is a nod to Pussy Galore from Goldfinger.
So yeah, just a little Easter egg there.
And you can actually see it in the film, it's got Pussy written on the cat wall. I think it's in 2 scenes.
It is, yeah. So what we're going to do now, that is the end of the trivia. What we're going to do now is open it out to the floor. We've got some controversial